Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on the show today, my friend. I have just one question for you. Are you ready to light it up?
So ready.
That is good to hear. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you. If you're joining us live, we're glad to have you here with us as well. Jennifer, let's start off with this question. It's a basic one. What's the mission and vision of the Everglades Foundation?
Sure. Our mission is to restore and protect America's Everglades. And we do this through science, advocacy, and education. You know, the Everglades is essential. It provides drinking water for millions of Floridians. It supports wildlife here, and it really fuels Florida's economy. So specifically, our education ensures that the future generation grow up to be informed voters, professionals, leaders, and really people who understand why it's so important that restoration matters and protect it into perpetuity.
When we were talking off air, I told you a little bit of a personal anecdote about my experience with the Everglades almost 20 years ago. Pretty fun stuff. And I have to say, the Everglades, the Florida Everglades, fascinate learners all around the world. So as we continue to talk about the resources that you offer, I have to ask, are the foundation resources available and accessible to anyone?
Yes, so our educational resources are free and publicly available online to anyone who wants to have access to it. We look at teachers, our community, grandparents, parents, they really are the multipliers. You know, they reach students every single day. And the more that we can provide information and tools about our environment, the more empowered they will be in protecting it into the future. And so while Everglades is local to Florida, really the concepts, the water systems, the ecosystems, human impact are really globally relevant. And so many educators outside of Florida, actually across our country, and we have a handful of other countries tapping into our website daily, weekly, and monthly to gather our resources.
That is so cool. All right. Well, how does the Everglades Literacy Program foster environmental stewardship while supporting core literacy standards in K-12 classrooms?
A couple of ways. So what we do is we bring formal education and environmental education together by using environment as the real world context. So for standards, teachers already have to teach reading, writing, science, even mathematics. We do have some history connections as well. The key is really minimizing the burden, right? So making sure that they're strategically standard aligned, that they are classroom ready. And we often hear that they can just pull our lessons offline. They're so well developed and so formatted in a way that they can easily just add them into their current lesson plans for the week or for the year. And so teachers plug it in without losing any time. And because time and resources are real barriers, and I was in the classroom, I really felt that you don't have 365 days to teach. If you get 100 out of your year, you're lucky, right? So we really design supports that reduce the prep time. In addition to these standards aligned lessons, the teacher trainings we do are free as well. And so for teachers across Florida, we do face-to-face trainings. We get in there and we start modeling and building these really hands-on lessons with the teachers. And so it is immediately available to our teachers. And we also make sure that the materials are free and available to every school across our state. And so really maximizing flexibility, making sure that teachers can fit it in across curriculum, that it's really standards aligned and helping students see their role in protecting our shared environment.
You're hitting a lot of good notes there, and particularly when you talk about saving teachers' time, that is a universal demand for sure. And I know for Florida educators, especially when you talk about aligning with state standards and providing kid-friendly, already prepared material, that is good news. Well, thank you for joining us, educators. If you're finding value here, if you've got a passion for environmental stewardship and literacy and the Everglades in particular, make sure to give this video a like. Jennifer, the free Teacher Toolkit features 41 lesson plans. We just talked about how they are aligned with the curricular standards. Tell us a little bit about behind the scenes. What does that process look like from your team?
It is a labor of love that never ends. As soon as you write a lesson and it's been out for a few years, you go back every summer and like, ooh, we could really fix that. We can make that better. We can make that more scientifically aligned and standards aligned. And so a lot of that work happens throughout the entire school year and never stops. Our lessons are pre-K through high school. And our program's a little bit different. So we don't write lessons that we say, oh, my camera fell, my apologies. We don't write lessons that one lesson that reaches all kindergarten through fourth grade. And so we write them specifically for your grade level. And we regularly update the content and reflect new science, feedback from teachers, and classroom realities because they give it to us constantly. And so it's an incredible team of educators. We are consistently evaluating our lessons for alignment, gaps in learning, and rigor. What's also really cool is that our team is very nimble. And so we're spread out across the state, and typically we have new adoption of curriculum, and we also can change our standards. And so what our team does really readily is making sure that as soon as the standards change, that we have updated our curriculum before the new school year starts. That is incredibly important to our teachers. So there's no gaps, there's no lapse in implementation. And if they wanted to teach life cycles and they have a whole new standards alignment, we're ready to fill that gap as soon as they start their school year.
That is so great. And again, this is a part of the work that is so time demanding. So for teachers to hear that your team is on it and you're reviewing that carefully, I think is very good news. You offer incredible resources for Spanish and Haitian Creole classrooms as well. So tell us, how has this dual language approach impacted student engagement? What have you seen from these materials?
Yeah, it's a really great question. And so we do. Access is really important to us. Environmental education shouldn't be limited by resources and shouldn't be limited by language access. And so the way that we wrote our curriculum was to improve this accessibility anyways, right? So from any classroom, from Key Largo to Pensacola, you don't need these very sophisticated, expensive lab tools. We wanted to make sure that wherever you were able to implement this content and lessons. And so that in hand goes with multilingual resources. It really ensures that students and families can access complex science concepts, that they have a space and a pathway to connecting with their environment in their own backyard. Students can learn specific vocabulary in their home language through our curriculum, and we've seen a few things. It builds confidence, it builds comprehension, but it also strengthens their family unit and connections. And so what we ask students to do is bring this home in their home language and share it with their parents and share it with their siblings. So they're talking about it in their home language. And when they go back to the classroom, they're building stronger connections to that content.
Yeah, that would be one of the biggest advantages I would imagine, right? Is getting that parent and home buy-in so parents and families can engage with that learning as well. So helpful. Tell us about Everglades Ecoquest. That sounds fun. How can educators use this web-based platform to bring interactive, gamified learning to their students as well?
Now, we're very teacher focused, right? We do a lot of work with our teachers. And then we wanted to provide a space. Well, I'll tell you a story. Our students were learning how to get into our website and download the teacher lessons. And so if they had a lesson in the classroom, they got the answers to it. And so we were, they already know the website. They want to engage further. And we really don't want to give them the teacher kit. And so how can we expand to make sure that not just the boots on the ground in our organization, but people outside of our watershed? So Florida has 67 counties. Our watershed's within the 16 counties, the Everglades watershed. And so, but we want to make sure anyone has access. And so how do we really expand our offering to people outside of our direct watershed and support the students if they want to engage in further learning? And so it is a free platform. It was designed to work in and outside of the classroom, and students get to explore the Everglades through interactive lessons, right? So they get to learn about unique habitats, plants, animals, ecosystem restoration. It includes multiple levels, so we call them little missions. We have 4 now, and we're looking forward to expanding those. And it is based on a reward system. And so students can earn badges such as becoming a wetland ecologist or a slough slog hike ecologist. And they experience blends informational text, images, videos, and interactive elements. And so a few things I hear is the teachers are like, thank you for not making it just a game. It really is a tool where they can improve comprehension, where they learn how to read, where they insert vocabulary, but it's also interactive enough where students find it fun and exciting. I also get adults email me and say, oh, I didn't know half of this. I went through the entire Ecoquest, all 4 modules, and it was very entertaining and fun. And so a number of different ways that students use it outside of the classroom. But interestingly, and something I don't think we really thought about, was that teachers use it as a unit hook. a learning station, but also for home extension activities.
I could definitely see it being a very popular learning station in elementary classrooms. And I like what you described too about the ecologist connections or the different career tracks, because
Yes.
that's part of my vice principal brain coming out and thinking, what are the integrations we can make with career here? So anytime we're learning about particular ecosystems, if we can bring in those career tracks to start getting our young learners thinking about a future in those areas, I think that's really exciting too. Teachers, if you're ready for more conversations like this one with access to tremendous resources from the Everglades Foundation, make sure you're subscribed to Teachers on Fire on the podcast or the YouTube channel. Jenny, tell us about how the foundation resources can help K-12 educators create hands-on learning experiences in environmental science. And I'm wondering if you can share an example.
Sure, absolutely. So our curriculum was really written so that it's hands-on. So we're doing science by modeling, by building simulations, by analyzing data. And so some examples of the lessons particularly are heart of a watershed. And so you're building 100 years of Everglades from the 1800s to today, by modeling Plato and bringing in words like channelization, topography, uh, sheet flow, right? These scientific vocabulary words that you're actually utilizing and implementing by designing a model with Plato. And who knew? Plato is very popular even in high school. So, this model extends from kindergarten through high school. You build aquifers. And so taking limestone and deciding how water moves in and outside of your limestone. So here in Florida, a lot of our water supply is in our Biscayne Bay. So understanding how water flows through our ecosystem, supports and renourishes our aquifer is very important to our content. So, and then other ways students study water quality. They use a video series and water quality kits and get outside and pull water quality and use tablets. And so lots of different scenarios and examples. And Champion Schools is one of the ways where we build these hands-on connections. So it's not just lessons in the classroom. It's now how do we get students to take action? And that means building gardens, campus projects, community awareness campaigns. All of this is really built into a system that we designed called Champion Schools.
Well, and that's where I want to go next. But I just wanted to say, sort of, maybe stating the obvious, but it's good to hear that your teaching materials, your resources are not just photocopied black line PDFs. It goes much deeper than that. And I love the sound of the hands-on activities. I'm thinking about some of my own learners in my context, Jenny, and wow, we get a lot of rain in these parts. And so kids love getting out there. And what do when they're out at recess? They love to build channels and everything that you're talking about. The engineers come out, right? So thinking about ways to bring that into the classroom is really exciting. So let's talk about the Champion Schools program, which recognizes exceptional efforts. What does it take for a school to not just become a champion school, but to build that lasting culture of environmental leadership?
Well, I'll start with it is a long game, right? It starts small and it grows significantly from school to school, depending on what year they're in our program. But it really starts with an empowered teacher, a teacher that has attended our training that's like, wow, I've been teaching for 12 years and I didn't know that my water came from the Everglades. And there's these really big aha moments. And the teachers take the curriculum back to their classrooms. They start teaching it. They see how engaged the students are. I'm like, okay, what do I do next? I want to do more, like 3 lessons per grade level. What more can I do? And that's when we designed the Everglades Champions program. You're a vice principal. For teachers to really engage in a program like this, you have to have administrative support. So we need empowered teachers, we need administrative support, and then stewardship is woven into the entire school culture. So we wanted to make sure it wasn't just a one-time event. A lot of our students here in Florida go on a field trip, maybe one their entire elementary year or 1 or 2 in their middle and high school. But rarely what you see in a school is that every single year we're talking about our environment. We're including something that connects them to what the world around them and their backyard looks like. What's the biodiversity? How do we engage with it? And so teachers are asked to really think about it throughout that entire school year. And it leads to some incredible projects outside and beyond the classroom. So it motivates our schools, it sustains and grows their efforts, and they're recognized. So recognition is huge. It's a competition at this point. We were silver last year, it's bronze, silver, gold. And it is quite a competition from district to district. Everybody wants to be gold. I will say this, it is not an easy thing to do. It is not just designing a mask. I mean, we're really talking about changing school culture, and I'm sure you're familiar with that takes time. It takes investment, it takes support, and it takes continuity and rigor. And so it is a very rigorous program. We ask teachers to do a lot, but we do reward them with grants and field trip funding and different types of, who knew, a banner was so important to them. And as we drive by our schools, so excited to watch the work that's happening in our schools.
Well, it's such a good mission, and I can imagine it builds so much state pride in the process as schools engage with that program. So it's all going in such a positive direction that's going to sustain learners and the communities over time. Thank you for your comments and feedback, Teachers on Fire listeners. Your engagement means the world. It keeps my fire burning, and I know Jenny would appreciate hearing your comments as well as you think about the resources that we've been talking about in this conversation. As we start to wind down, Jenny, for educators tuning in to Teachers on Fire who want to ignite a passion for nature on Monday, what's a first step or resource that you would recommend? Where should they get started?
Start with curiosity. I mean, we really want to bring it back to kids getting outside and playing and exploring what is happening in their schoolyard and outside their schoolyard. So trying to find little ways to connect with their daily lives. And so take a walk outside on Monday. Look at all the living and non-living things. Talk about what they're seeing. That's really something super small that we can start talking about. And maybe explore one lesson in our Teacher Toolkit. What's really cool is that outside of our pre-K-12 toolkit, we have little snippets. They're called additional resources. We have little 360 videos. I mean, there's little ways that we can connect for shorter lessons to make sure that we're implementing it daily.
Good stuff. And I hear you saying that no matter where we are situated, whether it's in Florida and whether we're directly connected to the Everglades or whether we're in some other location, most schools have some form of nature around them. Just getting outside and being observant, being curious about the environment around us is a great place to start. As we close, Jenny, what are the best ways for Teachers on Fire to connect with you and to learn more about your work at the foundation?
So the best way is evergladesliteracy.org. We have incredible free resources. Explore the tabs, look at all of our lessons. I tell teachers often, don't just look at your grade level because our kindergarten lessons work really well with first grade, depending on how much content knowledge they have about their ecosystem. And so definitely explore our website, explore Everglades Ecoquest.org, and look at our newsletter and sign up for that. I will tell you, once you get online, if you click Get Involved, you'll notice a bunch of different tabs. It's Request a Teacher Training, Visit Virtual Classrooms, Families for Everglades. All of that is free and available to anybody who wants access to it.
Well, that all sounds amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your time with the podcast this morning. This conversation has been interesting. It's been helpful and exciting. I know especially for Florida educators, but for educators around the world, I know they will find some value here. Teachers on Fire. I'm your host, Tim Cavey, and I'm so grateful that you too decided to spend some of your day listening to this episode. I hope that in some way the content you heard today from Jennifer Diaz at the Everglades Foundation sparked your thinking and ignited your practice. And I'll meet you next week right here on the Teachers on Fire podcast. Take care, everyone, and have a great week. Bye-bye.